In this segment, we're asking the question: are Black people prone to violence? And it's a controversial question, but it's one that should be asked because there's a lot of violence in the Black community, not just by adults, but by kids and teenagers. And it's, from my perspective, it's like an epidemic. So, first of all, let's take a look at a video and start it off like that.
Chris, good evening to you. Well, nearly 40,000 people in the U.S. die from gun violence. This is every year, and that's more than 100 people each day. The data also shows people of color die more from gun violence compared to white people. And you know what? Black people top the chart.
Tragic is probably not even the word. I don't even know how to describe it.
America is facing a gun violence crisis, and it's not impacting everyone the same.
There's things like this happening all the time in our Black and brown communities. We have teenagers getting killed on a daily basis, or a lot more than it needs to be happening.
Black people are twice as likely as white people to die from gun violence. That's coming from the CDC and data collected by the Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence. It shows Black people are also 14 times more likely than white people to get hurt in a shooting. The Black Child Legacy Campaign is a nonprofit in Sacramento working to change those alarming statistics.
We have programs that have been in this community all over Sacramento, the last 30 years, but we're not able to serve the way we would like to by being underfunded.
Kenneth Duncan with the group says they need more funding for intervention and gun violence prevention programs.
I'm pondering, what can I do as somebody in society, as an adult?
Cammie Wilson, who lives in an Upper Land Park housing complex, says gun violence is not unheard of in the predominantly Black and brown community.
Oh, no. It's not even unheard of me growing up. And that's what's sad. We see more deaths sometimes in men who've been in the service, who went to serve.
That shouldn't be normal. It should not be normal for our kids to see, death on a weekly or monthly, even daily basis.
So, as you heard that, it's a big problem. Not just in America, but just about all over the world. So let me read you this article here. It said there's a widespread belief that Black people, and particularly young Black inner city males, are prone to violence than white people. Substance abuse, the epidemic of teenage pregnancy, and the prevalence of households headed by women are almost always linked to Black violence. And I think most of that is true. Are we more prone to violence than white people? I on a micro level, I would say yes, because being amongst white people and being amongst Black people, just listening and interacting with them, you would see that Black people are more likely they're more aggressive. They're more likely to openly insult you, and they like to use the N-word and tell you about your mother and all of that. They like to instigate conflict, which leads to violence. And it's always I'm gonna beat you up. It's every time there's a conflict, there's no meaningful dialogue. Any dialogue is threats, and next it's I'm gonna punch you, I'm gonna beat you up. And I've seen this from a kid, from when I was small and getting bullied in school. And I'm not saying that some of this don't happen with white people and other races. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that in the Black race, it's very, very prevalent. I mean, it seems like embedded in our culture, in our psyche, So, I mean, I've had some personal experiences that I'm going to talk about just now. But let me read a little bit more. It says, behind these problems, conservatives see moral deficits. Progressives see racial discrimination and poverty. But underlying the differences is a growing consensus that, as former President Bush put it in his January 28 State of the Union address, the major cause of the problems of the cities is the dissolution of the family. Listen to this again, okay? The major cause of the problems of the cities is the dissolution of the family. That statement is the truest statement that I've ever heard. You know, people want to blame violence by the youth and by adults on the government and all this other nonsense. But the government have been trying to, the police, they try everything to curb violence, everything possible. Now, the police also have their own cross to bear, all right? But that's for another episode. But they have tried to keep people safe, tried to stop guns, and it's just, even without guns, back in the day we didn't have guns, people were still violent. Just now with a gun, it's easier to just pull the trigger and kill someone, okay? But let me tell you my take, okay, of why black people are so violent, okay? And I know this started back in the day of slavery, back then, okay? But I'm not going to blame slavery for today. I'm going to blame the parents, black parents, for the way that black people turn out, black kids behave. It's their parents. Just like how I can blame white parents for kids being racist, but kids growing up, okay, they're growing up to be adults, turn out to be racist. It's their parents. Their parents embed these things. The things that your parents do and say, you pick it up, okay? But black parents has failed black people, okay? Especially black males, black fathers. Everyone just want to have sex and move on and fill up their numbers and fill up the books. This woman and that, and just leave kids all over the place. Kids ain't no joke. They need two parents. Most of us need more than two parents. We need mother and father and uncle and grandmother, and we need everyone to be around. The more help, the better. I have a little son right now. He's 6 months, and it's tough. It's tough. I'm overwhelmed, me and my wife. So it's two of us, and we have support. Just imagine black youth with no father around. Mother got to go to work, and there's nobody bringing up the kid. The kid is learning from other stupid kids they're hanging out with. When I was in Brooklyn and I would go to the park to play basketball, I would see kids in the park, and we're young, sometimes 7, 8, 9, older, 10, 11, different age groups. But they're cursing and they're behaving in a certain way that I'm wondering who brought them up, A lot of times they came straight from school to the basketball court and they won't leave until it's dark. There's no curfew. Why is no curfew? There's no discipline. Nobody teach them about respect, how to behave when you're amongst adults, the things to say, the things to do, the things to not do. Failed. Black mothers and fathers fail these kids. And it's still happening today. And it's very, very disheartening. Because it's degrading society. Why we can't live in a world where we can just live in peace? Why is always, I'm going to beat you up every time there's a conflict? Why we can't discuss it and come to a common sense conclusion? Why we can't resolve things peacefully? So, teenage pregnancy is a big issue. It all goes back to your parents. All goes back. If you don't have any stability at home, you're going to end up in gangs. You're going to end up doing stupidness. You're going to end up following the wrong crowd. You're going to end up in jail or end up dead. Okay? As a young girl, you don't have parents that's watching over you. You're more than likely going to end up pregnant as a teenager, dropping out of school. You don't have any education. When kids don't have an education, and listen, I'm talking about America. I know all over the world, there's countries where these kids have no choice, right? It's tough, really, really tough. In America, that's different. Everyone here have an opportunity. And I would agree that as a black person, we have less opportunities. Okay? Because the fact is, just by being black, we're at the back of the line. It's true. Like, it doesn't matter how well we're brought up, we're still back of the line. But that shouldn't stop us. It hasn't stopped me, I'll tell you that. Okay? And I'm very happy to have the opportunity to live in America and have all these opportunities to feed my family and make an income and to live the American dream. Okay? Because I've had a pretty decent life. I just bought a home with my wife. I'm married. I have a child and 2 kids, my stepdaughter, and I'm very, very content and very appreciative to be alive. But I've been scared many times. Many times when I used to live in Brooklyn, the gun violence, you would sit in your apartment and just hear people shooting, and it's very, very sad. So let me just continue a little bit on. Said, at first glance, the negative portrayal of life in America's ghettos seems unassailable. Black people constitute for 13% of the population. However, according to the Uniform Crime Reports prepared annually by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, black people are more than half of those arrested for murder, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. This is 5 times the rate of white people in America. So black people constitute for 13% of the population. Yet we account for about half of the crime. That's pretty bad. Terrible. So let's check out another article. It says here, today, homicide is the leading cause of death among young black men and contributes significantly to the shortened lifespan of black male. In about 80 to 90% of the cases, the black victim was killed by another black, and about 52% of the murder victims were acquainted with the assailant. Blacks have been indoctrinated by the criminal justice system, which places high value on white life than on black life. Yes, definitely, black lives don't really matter to law enforcement. I mean, they want to quickly pull out a gun and shoot us when there's a conflict. But I mean, black people don't make it easy on themselves. We know that we're a target, yet still the way we behave, the way we speak to people, the way we are disrespectful to law enforcement. Listen, when I get pulled over by the cops, first thing I do is I wind down all my windows. I don't want the cop to feel apprehensive or scared of his life. Although he's the one that have the gun, I'm the one that's black. So I wind down all the windows. As you approach, I have both hands on the wheel where you can see my hands. Okay? I leave my seatbelt on. And when he approaches and he says, whatever to me, I say, good morning or good afternoon, officer. I treat him with respect. Do you get that? It doesn't matter if you're white or you're black, but we're talking about black. I treat him with respect because I want him to treat me with respect. Now, if he gets to the glass and I'm doing something stupid, I'm smoking weed or I got the music on, that all that's disrespectful. All that is not, necessary. And 9 out of 10 times, I've had great experiences with cops. Now, there was one time when a cop pulled me over and was behaving in a way that, wow, if his supervisor wasn't there, he probably would have arrested me and beat me up. Okay, just because he said I was going too fast, and I was driving too fast. I was, but me driving too fast should warrant me getting a speeding ticket. It shouldn't warrant me being abused and being possibly killed. Okay, so just being black in America is tough, and this is for another episode, right? But my point is that black people don't help their cause. We don't. Okay? Let me give you another example of, we had the Black Lives Matter, the marching, right? And you would think that they would go and march peacefully and state the case and all that. Because yes, black people are definitely being killed too much by the cops. But they go to the march and then they're looting and all of that. Like, you're taking away from the message. You're making yourself look bad as a race. Like, how are you going to protest police brutality, but yet you're looting? It's just unbelievable how we shoot ourselves in the foot.
This weekend, 72 people were shot and at least 13 were killed. KG's heart is heavy.
The violence here and violence in back home in Chicago. My mission has been for 15 years now is the focus on us. And when I mean people of color, it's something that is kept a secret. And many times it's connected to stop snitching.
Snitches get stitches.
Yes. And the ones that don't get snitched on continue to hurt and kill and terrify and destroy our community.
No arrests have been made in any of Chicago's weekend incidents. 15 years ago, Wilson and his son, now peace activists, escaped Chicago's violence. They moved to Minneapolis.
I just left everything there and jumped on the first bus and came here with no place to go or nothing. It was about saving my son's life.
Tanisha Taylor Bell is about saving lives, too.
I can't save every young person in the city. I wish I could. It was the city that raised me, a city that I love, a city that also took my father's life. He was shot as well by teenagers there, ages 15, 19, and 21, when I was just 5 years old.
Bell says teens like the ones who killed her father were the inspiration behind a scholarship foundation bearing her dad's name.
We provide scholarships, mentorships, and life skills seminars to young men who are middle class, sometimes fall through the gaps. They may be the C student, and oftentimes they don't have opportunities or resources to them.
Mentoring addresses the topic some ignore.
You don't see these killings in mass numbers like this in other races. How can we expect someone else to respect us if we don't respect ourselves? So the black on black crime that is plaguing not only Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis, so many cities across the nation, but you have to start at home. You have to take care of home. You have to make sure that our young people respect our race.
From her office in Atlanta to street corners in Minneapolis, both Bell and Wilson, Chicago natives, are doing their part.
If I have to stand by myself in front of a firing squad, I'm going to be that one who let the youth in the community know that this is right. We can't be quiet about it anymore.
According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting data for 2016, 90.1% of black victims of homicide were killed by other blacks. But the story doesn't stop there.
Let's just read this article here. It says, violent crime is down in New York and many other cities. But there are two big reasons to keep the champagne corked. One is that murder, rape, robbery, and assault remain at historic highs. The streets of Manhattan, like those of Houston, Philadelphia, Detroit, Chicago, and Los Angeles, remain much less safe today than in the 1950s and 60s. since around 6% of young males turn out to be career criminals. Wow. According to the historical data, this increase will put an estimated 270,000 more young male predators in the streets than in the 90s. Numerous studies show that each succeeding generation of young male criminals commit about 3 times as much serious crime as the one before it. Wow. So every generation commits more crime than the generation before. The occasional fatal knife fight in the 1950s street gangs has given way to way more frequent drive-by shootings of 1990 gangs. So, yeah, now that people can get their hands on guns even easier, and now Republicans are making it even more accessible because of the laws they put in place that people can have guns. In the next 10, 20 years, it's going to be like the Wild Wild West. Everybody's going to have guns. Everybody's going to be killing each other. But this is going to be an issue for not just black people. This is just white and black. Talking about the OJ verdict here, and I want to talk about it a little bit more later on. OJ definitely killed a lady. He definitely did it. I know he got off and black people were happy. I definitely wasn't happy. Just because someone is black, I'm not going to support someone just because they're black. If somebody's doing something wrong, I'm not supporting it. I don't want to be no parts of it, okay? Whether they're white or black, it don't matter to me. If you're doing something wrong, I don't like it. So, yeah, he definitely got away with murder. But OJ's so stupid, he ended up doing a lot of time in jail for stealing his own memorabilia. So he just, he got what he deserved. But black people were celebrating OJ getting away with murder. Let me repeat that. Black people were celebrating OJ getting away with murder. And they all said it. Back in the day, everybody believed he did it. We all believe he did it. But they were happy he got off. Because they said it's the first time a black man got off from killing a white person. But why is that something to celebrate? Anybody getting away with murder is not a good thing. So the mentality of black people is not good when it comes to violence. They think it's something to celebrate. They think being a bad person is good. Unbelievable, right? This is it. Cameron Hogg challenged his friend to a basketball game. He invited his whole family out to the park to witness the game. Cameron lost the game to his friend Amanda. Cameron got so mad and so heated that he drove his family home, came back to the court, and shot his friend Amanda. She was shot 5 times. Cameron is still on the run. So this guy challenged a girl, which was a friend of his, to a basketball game. And the girl beat him at the game. Because the girl used to be a basketball player in school because she can play. So apparently she beat him in the game. He got upset. I guess they were ribbing him for losing or whatever. And he went home and got a gun and come back and kill her. So this is not an isolated situation. This happens in the inner cities a lot, where for something small, people get killed. If you're gambling and you lose $5, and the guy's laughing too much, you pull out a gun and shoot him. So it's just, violence is just inbred and totally unnecessary. So what I want to do is we're going to read one more article. This guy ran over a bunch of people at a Christmas parade. Then he goes to court and he's behaving, like he's the savior and, he's the one that's the victim. And then comes to apologize. Now he's apologizing. So he said, I would like to issue the court an apology from me in regard to my actions last week during the trial. I want the court to understand it's very emotional right now. Not only for just the whole situation of the trial, the families here I have to go through everything that's going to be involved in the trial, but also my family as well and myself. It's very, very emotional, but not an excuse for my actions. I should have carried myself in better respect. I wasn't raised that way. He wasn't raised that way. I owe you, Your Honor, and the court of apology. And I want to stand up as a man and tell the whole court. He stood up, and Your Honor, I apologize to the bailiffs and I apologize for my actions. This guy's a total idiot. You know, he's out there, drove his car into 6 people, injured them, and then he's in court behaving in a certain manner, disrespectful and all that. Same thing I say, the cops pull you over, be respectful. You know, you go to court, be respectful. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Stop acting like you're the big bad wolf and you're going to beat up people and all this. You're going to end up in jail. You're going to end up in jail, you're going to end up dead. Easy. Okay? He said, like I said, that's not how I was raised. Wow. I came from a Christian background. Oh my God. Can they stop using the Christian word so loosely? He come from a Christian background, yet still he ran into 6 people who were at a Christmas parade. My mother didn't raise me that way. She didn't raise me to act out of frustration and irritation and anger. I just wanted everyone to know that I apologize for my actions. Brooks continued. I'm going to try my best, whatever happens, to conduct myself with respect and respect to the court. I just want you to know that. You know, I've seen this a lot where people claim they were raised good, yet still they behave the total opposite. So, understandably so, this is an emotional experience, I think, for everyone, and that's it. Brooks is charged as a driver who rammed his Ford Escape through a Christmas parade in Wisconsin, November 2021. 6 people were killed. Wow. 6 people. He killed 6 people. This guy is a total waste on life. So let me try to close this up, all right? And let me first talk about my own experiences. Now, when I was about 4 years old, I was about 4, I think, yeah, or 5. I remember my mother and my father got into an argument about my father not living up to his responsibilities. And, you know, this has been going on for maybe weeks, probably months, where, you know, it's the back and forth about him not doing enough, right? One day, I guess my father couldn't take it anymore, and he slapped my mother, not once. So he had her on the bed, pinned down, and he was slapping her. And I ran over, and I grabbed his leg, and I was crying. I was like, you know, I was telling him to let go of my mom. And he pushed me away, and he continued to slap my mom. I was pretty young, but, you know, I never forgot that. Never. And I told myself that I never want to be the man who would hit and abuse a woman. And I haven't done so. Okay? But parents don't understand how their actions affect their kids. You know, when you glorify violence in the house, when you condone it, kids pick up on it. They pick up on everything. And this is a basis for their psyche in life moving forward. As I said, the family, a good family, is key to stopping violence and bad behavior in kids, having them grow up and totally destroying society. So, one of the videos we watched, the lady said, how can we expect someone to respect us if we don't respect ourselves? Black people definitely don't respect. They glorify violence. I mean, just look at the music. Listen to the music. the hip hop music has been popular with black people from forever, still is today. And a lot of the hip hop music is about violence. So if that's all they're listening to, and I listen to hip hop music myself. But I'm not gonna go outside and kill somebody or all of that. But kids today, I have a son now. I'm not gonna let him listen to that as a young kid. He's not gonna be listening to violent hip hop music as a young child. Now when he gets to an adult, probably when he's 18 or whatever, and if I could, I'm gonna stop him until he gets to close to that age where he could discern, entertainment from real life, because I don't think that young kids could discern it. So, in the news, there's Kanye West got banned from, I believe, two different social media sites because he was on there threatening Jews in general. But that doesn't surprise me. Now, people say that violence in black people stems from poverty. Poor black people is inbred in violence, and rich black people are also, like Kanye he's a billionaire, yet still, he's on social media threatening Jews, So, look at O.J. Simpson. He was rich, and, the idea of snitching, right? So the guy said in one of the videos also that the people who are not getting snitched, right? Those people are out there killing, raping, murdering people. So there's a thing that you don't tell the cops the truth. You don't tell the cops who's doing bad things. This idea doesn't make any sense at all. So if someone in your community rapes your daughter, don't go tell the cops. Don't tell the cops. Just let him go rape somebody else's daughter. If he kills someone, your brother, yeah, that's okay. Don't tell the cops so you can kill some more people. Or you get a gun and you kill him. And then his brother is going to come back and kill you. And then the cycle continues and continues and continues. There's no law and order. It's just worthlessness. I mean, black people need to wake up. Black people need to look into themselves. Yes, police brutality is a problem, but black on black crime is a bigger problem. If you look at the statistics of how many people got killed by the cops versus how many black people are killing each other for no reason. Let's not even talk about domestic issues where husband killing the wife and all that, because these things happen in other races too. Although it's not right, But if black people are so invested and so enamored with violence, as I tell you, even young kids, I'm gonna beat you up and all this other stuff, and everything is about fighting. There's no discussion, no good dialogue, nothing. So, in another experience that I had, I used to go to a basketball court in Brooklyn, and one day, a woman came on the court and shot a guy that I usually would play basketball with. I know he wasn't my friend, but I knew him, being on the court many times. Came and just shot him. She said he said something disrespectful to her daughter or something like that. And she's now in jail, spending a lot of time in jail. But that issue could have been solved differently. They could have sat down and have a conversation and tell a guy, listen, I've been through some stuff too. Like my daughter we moved into a new neighborhood, and she was walking from school with one of her other female friends, and she's around 14, and she said a guy was harassing her, right? And I was like, what guy? Who's this? Like, she said it was just another black guy. Now, this area is a predominantly white area, but, you know, there are also, you know, black people. So there's just one black kid. And there's a bunch of white kids on the block, right? But it's one black kid. He decides to harass my daughter. Of all the kids. So he was saying stuff to her inappropriate and all that. And, you know, she was just ignoring him. Eventually, he started throwing water on her. Unbelievable. So when she came home, she was like, you know, this guy was just throwing water on us and he's calling me names and all that. So I went outside just to see if I can, you know, have a conversation with him. Now, I really wanted to speak to his parents, but I had no idea where he lived. So I was in the heat of the moment. I'm like, you know, let me just go talk to this guy. He's 14. You know, I'm an adult. I'm in my 40s. So I went out there. He was walking by. I said, excuse me, please do not speak to my daughter. Do not throw water on her. Leave her alone. That's what I said to him. And then I left and I went back inside. And so far, he has not said anything to my daughter. He stopped harassing her. So, but this is a 14-year-old kid. His pants is way down under his butt, right? And he's harassing my daughter at that age. And he lives in a great neighborhood. This is a suburb, and it's a nice neighborhood. And people don't behave like that around here. But the one black kid, that's how he's behaving. Now, I don't know if it's his parents or if it's, you know, the stuff he's seen online. I don't know why he's like that. But I tell you, my son is not going to do that. No way possible. Okay? I'm going to be involved in his life, and I'm going to make sure he knows how to behave, how to respect people, and how not to solve problems with violence. I'm not saying that sometimes you don't have to defend yourself, okay? Because sometimes your back is against the wall, someone hits you, and, you know, you got to defend yourself. I'm talking about you being the aggressor. I'm talking about you being the bully. We don't have to be bullies. We don't have to be aggressive. We don't have to walk around with a gun. We need to support each other. We need parents who are going to be there for us. And we need to stop with this stupid no snitching nonsense. If someone do something wrong, they should be held accountable. I don't care if they're white or black. Now, lastly, I want to talk about Will Smith. Will Smith has curated a persona of being nonviolent, and, you know, I mean, this guy never cursed. This guy sing hip hop, never curse, never say the N-word, nothing. Right? You would think this guy is, you know, this is the perfect example of what a black person should be. The guy's a movie star. He's successful. He got everything going for him. He got a beautiful family. Yet, after so many years of being on television and being rich and being famous and people looking up to him and like, okay, this is who I want to be when I grow up. Will Smith. The man has integrity. The man doesn't curse even though he's singing hip hop. He doesn't say the N-word. Wow. Amazing. No. You know why? He was a fraud. Because he went to the Oscars, went on stage, and slapped Chris Rock, a comedian. Now, Chris Rock made a joke about his wife. The joke was pretty harmless about her because she has short hair. She could act in G.I. Joe. I mean, it was really harmless. And even though, let's say the joke was bad. I mean, look at the optics, man. You go on stage and you slap the guy? Like, come on. So Will Smith set us back 100 years. Don't think I would have ever said that. He set black people back 100 years by being so petty to go on stage at a nationally televised show and slap someone in the face with a lot of force to put. Okay? Totally uncalled for. Now, how could a Will Smith, if he was really offended by what Chris Rock was saying, how could he have dealt with that differently? He could have spoken to Chris Rock privately. He could have told him, hey, it really bothered me. And I'm sure Chris Rock would have apologized to him and tell him, he's sorry. He didn't mean to offend him or offend his wife. How do we deal with conflict? We cannot deal conflict with violence. It's going to keep cycling and cycling and cycling. How are we raising our kids? The kids that, we're fighting against racism from the beginning of time. We're fighting that. We're fighting police brutality. Okay? We're fighting the perception that black people are violent, very violent, and we're fighting ourselves. And we're just spinning in mud. We're just turning around, and we're not getting anywhere as a race. We're not getting nowhere as a race. And it's very, very, very sad. Black people, they need to wake up because we're too prone to violence. That's all I'm going to say.